Thank you very much and welcome back. So today my guest will be Ramzia Diab, the nation's former top diplomat in Malaysia. She's my guest today, big guest. Auntie Ramzia, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Lamin Jai, for inviting me.
Thank you. Ma'am, you were the nation's first ambassador to Malaysia following the overturning of the dictatorship in 2017. You were there. At some point, you got recalled. What can you tell us in terms of Malaysia and Gambia?
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. What I can tell you about this is Malaysia and Gambia have had a long-standing bilateral relations. Malaysia and Gambia have had a lot of exchanges in terms of education especially. Right now you have a lot of Gambian students in their thousands in Malaysia and Indonesia, in the whole of Southeast Asia. And Malaysia has been offering scholarships to Gambians. We have Brunei also, which Gambia covers, which I was covering. And they do give full scholarship to Gambian students every year. Malaysia does also give military training to Gambia. There are lots of other relations. We've signed, in my tenure, I've signed an MOU with the University of Gambia, with the University Technology Malaysia, which is the number 3 university in the whole of Southeast Asia. So there has been a lot of relationship between these two countries.
In terms of the respect at that level, the relationship between Malaysia and Gambia, how is it like? Because you are someone who met their leaders, met their presidents. In terms of how they see the Gambia, what can you tell us about that?
Well, Malaysia respects Gambia very much in terms of the way we fought for our democracy, because in Malaysia also they had another government there that they really fought hard in order to get that government changed. So it was like the Gambia has decided, and then in Malaysia we called it Malaysia has also decided, because that's when the former government also was removed from power through the ballot box, and then Tun Mahathir came into power, who used to be the former prime minister, and he became the prime minister again at 93. And they admired the way we had gone through our transition from a dictatorship to democracy. So because anytime we see them, anytime I see government officials, they say, oh, Gambia, you are the ones who changed from a dictatorship to democracy, which we did very well. And we were admired all over the region for our stance on democracy.
And how did you feel being the very first Gambian to be sent by the state to Malaysia to go there and push the interests of small Gambia in Malaysia? How did you feel about that?
Very proud indeed, very proud, because when I was there, I tried to make an impact there. We have about 24 African embassies, African ambassadors in Malaysia. And it was quite interesting that little Gambia was really talked about most of the time, you know, because I remember in most cases, most of these universities, when they have a program, when they have talks on different topics, I will always, not praising myself, of course, but I will always be invited to go and give a talk on this topic, on that topic. And I remember in University Technology Malaysia, I was invited there to give a talk to postgraduate students on the emergence from dictatorship to democracy through education, which was quite a very interesting topic. So
and also, how was your staff size like in terms of the diplomatic compound there?
The staff size was very small. Actually, yes. It was myself, my deputy, the finance attaché, and the protocol and welfare officer. And then we had 2 administrative staff and 3 drivers. That was the size of the embassy.
Now, and also, if you look at where Malaysia is, you would realize that it was just one of the embassies, just the only embassy in that part of the Asia where you have an embassy that caters to the needs of Gambians. Around that end, you have about 9 countries that fall within that region, and all these countries, you have Gambians in some of them, and all these Gambians, it's the embassy in Malaysia that they reach out to should they need any support, any assistance. Yes. So how was it like for you in terms of covering all these states when it comes to the welfare of Gambians, but not just that. You have a lot of Gambian students there as well as people who are there doing other things, business and other things. How do you handle that? Went about managing all of that?
Well, we tried everything we could because the Gambians are more concentrated in Malaysia and Indonesia mostly. In Indonesia, we have a business community of 44 businessmen who have big shops in Jakarta, highly respected, law-abiding, and we have students all over Indonesia in the different regions. And I had managed to go to a few of them to go and see what the students are doing there. In Malaysia as well, we have a large concentration of Gambians. And the major problem that Gambians normally in that region have been very well disciplined, very well behaved. I didn't really have much problems with students misbehave. The only problem there is Southeast Asia or Asia in general. They have very, very strict immigration laws. And that is where always the problems occur. Because in Southeast Asia, if you overstay, Gambians can go to Malaysia and stay for 2 months without a visa. But when you overstay, you are being arrested and you are sent to a detention center. And if there is no embassy there to help you, you will stay there for a very long time indeed. Because the moment they detain somebody, they write to your embassy immediately to inform them. So we've been doing that most of the time with this, some of the people that have been there and they overstay because they don't allow you to work in Southeast Asia. If you don't have a work permit, if you are not, if you are staying there illegally, there is no way. It's unlike Europe or other places where you can go and work as long as you don't cause any crime and you don't fall into the hands of the immigration, you are fine. But over there, they detain you, and then you are the one who is supposed to get your family to buy your ticket because they don't deport you and pay your ticket. You have to buy your own ticket and they escort you out of the country. So which has been very challenging for us. So we tried as much as possible to make sure that whenever they detain someone, we contact the family, we do what we can as an embassy in order to make sure we go and visit the detainee on a regular basis until we facilitate the detainees, the deportees exit from Southeast Asia.
And you did quite a while in Malaysia, well over a year. But at some point you were
3 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
3
years.
Yeah.
Okay. And at some point you were sent, asked to return, and you were never. You were just recalled, and then that was it. Why were you recalled?
I was recalled, as far as I understand, is because the Gambia government had decided to close down the embassy in Malaysia and had claimed that it was due to budgetary constraints of the government. They had been asked by, according to what I was told, by the development partners that they have to curtail or cut down some of these embassies. And Malaysia was the one chosen, plus Algeria. These were the 2 embassies that were closed. And as far as I'm concerned, closing Malaysia was a big disappointment for me. Not for me as an ambassador. It's not that I'm looking for a job, but this is about country and about the Gambians that live in that area that don't have access to their embassy or a consulate. Because in Malaysia, we don't have a consulate. In Indonesia also, we don't have. In Southeast Asia. So I would have thought we would have waited until there is a consulate established there that will be able to would be familiar with the plight of the citizens there, and then the closure of the embassy can happen. But then it has been closed, and that's water under the bridge now.
It has been closed, yet, was that the reason why you were asked to return home and you were not sent elsewhere? That was it. End of story for for Ambassador Diab.
Well, I think that's best for the government to answer that question. But I know what I have done there as an ambassador, and I came back. I was recalled and I came back because the embassy was closing, and that was it. I wasn't told anything else, so I went home and went about my business.
Did you expect them to reach out to you and say, okay, we are sending you elsewhere?
Well, I would have thought so. If for me, if you have somebody that has done a good job and have been confirmed by the people that were there, I would have thought that person could have continued the good job that she's doing and continue it elsewhere. But well, that's not my decision to make. That's the decision of the government to make. If they need my services, if they don't need my services, I go and do other things with my life.
Did you feel disappointed at all?
Not really. I felt disappointed about the closure of the embassy, but not for me as an individual. You know, like I saw one of these comments, somebody said, oh, why don't you go and look for another job, or you are looking for another job. That's not the issue here. The issue is shutting down an embassy where you have a concentration of your citizens. I'll give you an example. Just about less than 3 weeks ago, a Gambian student, a female student, got back. She's in university, got back to Malaysia, and she was detained at the airport. I've been there for 3 years. I know all these people there. I know the people at the ministry, and if the father of this girl had not called me, I wouldn't have known, because they reported to the ministry. She was there, and they set about calling other people, and the person they even called me to find out what can I do, because this person is being detained. So I had to use my contacts that I had there, because for me, whether I'm an ambassador or not, because I know that place very well, and this is a student that has gone, and the father reached out to me. So I did everything I could. Within 2 days, the third day she was released, and she went into, and these were issues that we deal with in Malaysia on a daily basis. Their immigration laws, like I told you, are very, very strict.
Are very, very strict. Now let's talk about your removal from the diplomatic service. Your preening came while others also were being recalled. Mm-hmm. And what much was said is that those that were not rehired or they were not sent elsewhere are those that are people that are perceived to be UDP, where they call them UDP ambassadors, which even your name was mentioned. Did you had this? You must have had
yes,
that.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Actually, this rumor had been going on since before I even came. And, you know, when a rumor is hyped like that and there is no response from the people that are being accused, people tend to believe what is being said. So if that is the decision of the government for removing an ambassador because of a political affiliation, then it's very sad where we are going as a country. Because if I'm working as a diplomat, I'm not supposed to be partisan. No matter what party I believe in, when I go into my services, when I was in Malaysia, anybody who comes to Malaysia, any guest who comes to Malaysia and I am contacted as the ambassador, I don't look at you as a UDP or NPP or PPP, or I look at you as a Gambian and give you the same treatment as I would give to anybody. So if a government is being run on those grounds, then it's very sad where we are moving, where we are heading along. And for me, if I were the leader of this country, and I see that, okay, you are being accused of being with a certain party, or me being with the UDP. If you see that this person is with this party and you see that this person has a talent, this person has something that he or she can provide to the country, I would have thought, let me pull this person to myself, and even if she's in another place, would now try to see the perspective I am seeing things, because everybody has a right to believe in what you have to believe in the ideologies you have to believe. But if that is the way you are being treated because of probably the person feels, nobody has ever asked me in that government, do you support UDP or do you support NPP? So if they believe that I support UDP and that is the criteria, so be it. I have a right as a Gambian to support any political party I want to support.
But do you support UDP?
I do support UDP, yes. That is not hidden, but that does not mean that Barrow is my enemy. I don't see politics in that way. Everybody has a right to support where you want to support. If I see UDP and I look at their manifesto and I see their ideologies and where they are heading to, and I feel, well, this is my idea, that is where I would go. If I am being encouraged and UDP opens their arms to me and say, well, we see that you know something, you can deliver something, and they welcome me, I will be there. NPP has not done that to me. Probably they don't need me, or they don't feel, I'm not saying I'm going there or that's where I want to go. No, but I would have thought if you see a talent in somebody, try as much as possible to pull that person to your side. That's how politics is being run. But politics should not be run on anger or on, oh, just let her go because you did. Sit down with the person and have a conversation. And then you find out, what is her ideology? Is this the way, okay, this is what I want to do, and I need your help. And then that person would be able to do that. But if you just shun the person will go wherever she's there. And I'm not saying that I'm in UDP because I've been shunned by, no way, no. I believe what I believe. When I was in APRC, nobody could move me from there. But when I saw that the ideology that are being where they're heading to was not in line with my beliefs, I left the APRC and I stayed out of the party. And of course, you know that I was sacked from the National Assembly.
Of course, you were dismissed from the Parliament. But still on your life as an ambassador, your recall, were you able to meet the president after your recall?
Yes, I did. I met the president, I met the authorities, I did what I was supposed to do as an ambassador coming home. I met the president, of course. Barrow is like a brother to me, and I have a very high regard for him. And I have nothing absolutely against him. I am just against the ideologies or the running of what is happening in this country. We have a country to run. And the way I see it, I had a very good conversation with him, but the way I see it, everything is being run on a partisan basis. Worse for me, this is my opinion, they can say anything they want, worse than what I have seen. Yes, we have established democracy now, but the democracy was not created by Adama Barrow. The democracy we have was created by the Gambian people as a whole. We struggled. People like me had been to prison.
Of course.
We really struggled and fought for the freedom we have today. But when you are somewhere and you see what is going on, and the same old, it's like new people, how do they say it? Old wine in new bottle. It's like the same people have come over again. So which means that I went to prison, I was tortured, I was beaten, only for those, my oppressors, to still come and oppress me again. That is unacceptable.
That is unacceptable, and that will lead me to ask you this, because you are an ambassador and you had your boss, clearly, the country's foremost diplomat, which is the foreign minister. At the time of your recall, the person who happened to be the country's chief diplomat, Dr. Mamadou Tangara. Mamadou Tangara was in a government which you had contributed so much in fighting against the Jammeh government. What we've seen the position really that you've taken, and the change came. You were ambassador. only for you to be answerable to somebody who you were up against a short while ago. How did you feel? How did you feel in terms of having somebody that you contributed so much in fighting against, now for that person to be sitting right there deciding your fate?
To be quite honest, with regards to Momodou Tangara, I have had a very good working relationship with him. Tangara is a brother. I had known him long before this thing happened. I had known him when I was with APRC, and he had been nothing but polite to me since I've been in this. But you know, we should realize that the final decision does not belong to Tangara. The final decision is the one who is in charge.
The overall boss.
The overall boss. So I cannot sit here and blame Tangara for anything. He was called for a duty, and he decided to take up the appointment and perform his duty, as far as I'm concerned, to the best of his ability. It is the one who had been making the employment that is the one the finger should be pointed at.
But in your conversation with the president, did he at all give you any cogent reason as to why you were being frozen out?
No, not at all. I had a very good conversation with the president, and which is of course privileged. I cannot sit here and be saying that. That was a private meeting, but he had not shown me any like any hostility. I had briefed him on my coming back, and I had told him what I wanted to tell him, and that was it. We parted company in a very polite way, and that was it. Since then, I haven't heard from anybody. So I'm not disgruntled, I'm not angry. I'm just happy that I served my country and I did what I could to the best of my ability. If you ask any Gambian at all in Southeast Asia, I am maybe 99% confident that 99% of the citizens that were in Southeast Asia would not tell you anything negative about my mission there.
Now let's talk about one thing more on Malaysia and the contradiction there by the government before we move on to other issues. The government decided to close the embassy in Malaysia, meaning it is winding down on whatever diplomatic ties it has with that country. Yet, just a few days ago, you have the ambassador of Malaysia or the High Commissioner of Malaysia, I don't know which it is, coming to the foreign minister, I think he presenting letters of credence. Really, when you see that, as somebody who worked in the embassy and all the events that took place, you were at the center. What can you say on that? The issue of the government closing the embassy, but now they are saying, okay, Malaysia and Gambia are now ready to forge new diplomatic cooperation.
Well, that's best for them to answer. It was very sad indeed. I saw it too, and I felt very sad. And my colleagues, the African ambassadors that are in Malaysia, when I told them that we were closing my embassy, every one of them said, "Is something wrong? Southeast Asia to close a whole region of an embassy, even if you have budgetary constraints. I think another embassy should have been chosen, but not Southeast Asia, But a reason best known to them. I don't believe that has anything to do with me in particular, because if it were me, all they can do is recall me and replace me with somebody else, which would be fine, because my major concern is what is happening there with the Gambian citizens in terms of the immigration restrictions that they have. I have seen how people suffer in detention centers in Malaysia because just even simply by overstaying. So that makes me feel very sad indeed when I watch that.
When you watch,
yeah.
Now let's talk about other issues. One important issue that I think this is our very first interview, so I'm going to ask you this because this is very important. Yeah. You were a member of the coalition executive, really, 2016. Yeah. I mean, impressive job the likes of your person did in cobbling a united force, political front to, face Jammeh, and you succeeded really in defeating him. As somebody who was a top official of the coalition, you were right there when all the things were taking place. You have first-hand understanding of the whole issue. In retrospect, now we have seen what we have seen. There is no such thing as a coalition. Everyone has gone his separate way. There's been a lot of noise, a lot of fight, a lot of political war. You know, if you look at even the programs, in terms of the coalition, what would you, or what would be your opinion in terms of what at the outset was planned and what unraveled and what ended up happening?
Thank you very much for that. I was a member of the coalition executive, and we had our agreement was written out, everything was in place, and then we formed the government. But alas, like a lot of coalitions, ours broke easily, I mean very fast. And I have been hearing a lot of controversies now, people talking, Mr. X broke the coalition, Mr. Y did this, Mr. Y, Mr. did that. But I think the breaking of the coalition is not the responsibility of an individual. It is a collective responsibility. When the coalition executive, when the coalition was formed and when the new government was formed, we had policies in place, civil service reforms, security reforms, setting up a commission. The Jammeh commission was set up. But unfortunately, most of these things have not happened. That is not the responsibility of an opposition party or the head of an opposition party. It's collective. The coalition executive should have made sure that we have. So we cannot wait until now in 2021 when elections is about and start crying foul and just pointing finger at one person. We are all to blame. When the coalition started, I remember Ajiyam Seka of the deputy leader of the UDP was very concerned about this. And she had even gotten a delegation to go to the then vice president to ask that the secretariat should be open so that the secretariat will be able to monitor what is going on with the coalition so that everything would be, the policies that had been set would be implemented. But to no avail. It was like when everything started, everybody went about doing their own business and some were only following their own interests. This did not happen. So to sit down now and be blaming one person, mainly I would say Dabo.
Yes, because yes. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
What do you say to the claim that it's Dabo who instigated or who fronted the disintegration?
Listen, let me tell you something. Usainu Dabo was not there when the coalition was formed. He came after he was released from prison. He played a major role in getting us where we are today as a coalition.
Of course.
And people have their own mindset. If people say that Usainu Dabo is the one who disintegrated the coalition, I would say no. It is not Usainu Dabo. If I am the leader, and Usainu Dabo, for example, has been blamed for stating that Barrow should stay for 5 years, and anybody who does, yes, I'm also one of those who condemn that, because this is something that had been said. But Barrow has his own mind. If Usainu even had gone to Barrow and say, I want you to stay for 5 years, Barrow could simply say, no, I'm not going to do that. I have already promised the Gambian people, this is what we are going to do, and this is what I will continue on. I will make on my promises. I have had a top politician here saying, who publicly had said that if Barrow does not resign after 3 years, he would resign as a minister. Well, in the interim, he got sacked. But now I hear him all over the place saying anybody who does not support Barrow staying or forming another political party, you don't believe in God.
Are you talking about OJ?
Well, of course. It's not a secret that he has been saying that. And I'm very disappointed. What I am now asking is, okay, let's assume, if Ousseynou Dabo is the one who broke the coalition, what are the rest of the party leaders doing to remedy what has been broken? Ousseynou has left the Barrow government. Now, what have the rest done? Apart from praise singing, what have they done in order to remedy the situation? I know I will get a lot of abuses or things. This is my opinion. Politics is not about abusing or attacking. If you keep attacking somebody all the time, I will sit there and say they are attacking this person. Now let me go and check. He probably is very important or he's doing something right. That's why we are collectively attacking, because we feel that person is a threat. I'm not sitting here to say that Dabo is a saint. I'm not saying he doesn't do something wrong. I completely disagree with even 5 years, Barrow staying for 5 years. But now I see all those who have been saying that have now turned saying something else. If we continue like this as a country, and you cannot tell the leader the truth, and be honest to yourself, and have a conscience, then I'm afraid the world would leave us behind. There would be no progress. We are doing the same thing we were doing for Jammeh. Not to see anything wrong with Jammeh. If I were Barrow's advisor, by now I would have been sacked, because I would tell him the truth. I would not want to sit there and be telling him all what he wants to hear, because he's not a saint. He's a human being. Lots of things he might not know from outside. But the way we are behaving now, it's like either you support everything that Barrow does, or you are not part of us, you are hated. You know, somebody said, I heard Abdullah Kujabi's testimony. Yes. He said, APRC is a party where when you leave there, they leave you, they also leave you. When you are sacked, they also leave you. And that is what is happening now. It's like once you are there, you are no longer there. Nobody wants to talk to you. And that's very sad as a society. It is really, really sad.
Now, on Dabo, you said he is not a saint. You are saying that he's not a saint. On the issue of him publicly coming out to say, vowing that he was going to sue anybody who says the president should resign at trip, do you think, in your opinion, do you think he made a mistake there?
I think so, as a party. But he had publicly said that he did that in his capacity as a lawyer. So I respect that opinion. That is the way he feels, but that was not the stance of the United Democratic Party. And they had made it clear that this was an agreement that we made. But as I'm saying still, if I were in Barrow's shoes, even if Dabo says that, I would not use that as a political plus. I would say no.
But do you realize that there was a lot of naivety on the part of the president at that time? This was a president at that time was going about saying that this is my father. You could see Dabo becoming so powerful in government. You have a president who would say, this is my father. This is who I listen to in terms of advice. To the extent that a lot of people have this perception, this feeling that it is in fact Dabo who is running the government. So you could see at that time the president did not yet put on his president clothes yet. So you could see that, right? Do you still blame him when you have a very naive?
No, I don't blame him to a certain extent. I blame the ones surrounding him and filling his ears with falsehood. Because even if Dabo is powerful, the president has a way of, this is how I want my government to be run. And then, in the end, he had told Dabo they should part ways and go. Because I was there when Dr. Aissatou Toure was being sworn in as a vice president. And one of the statements the president made was, I want to run the government according to the way I want my policies to be implemented. Fine, they had all gotten out of there. But what I'm asking now is, what has been done since that? The Jammeh Commission has made their recommendations. I have not seen anything being implemented yet. I'm even scared as a victim of what is going to happen to the recommendations by the hard-working SFL and his team, Mr. Cisse. What is going to happen if recommendations are being made Are we still vulnerable? Me as a victim, I've been tortured twice.
Of course.
And am I still vulnerable? Am I still safe in my own country? So these are the things that we should be talking about. The issues we should be talking about. Instead of now sitting here, just because it's campaign time, attacking. Let us now, if Barrow wants people to support him, he has to come up with policies, with issues, with development projects. What are we going to do next? We have women dying. There was a time, I think last month, that there were 30-something women that died of childbirth. In the 21st century, it should not be happening. Childbirth, for people to die of childbirth, is a thing of the past. It's very minimal. But every time you hear of someone dying, it's because they lack blood. How is that possible in our country, when healthcare should have been number one? But these are the things we should be talking about, instead of sitting here all the time apportioning blame. If I know that this person is an obstacle to me, I would now come and implement my own and say, this is what we want to do, instead of apportioning blame all the time. This is my problem. Because the attack is too much, the abusing is too much. Even in the time of Jammeh, I've never seen abuses like that is happening today. Look, I will tell you, the person I respect most in these parties is that, what's his name? The APRC guy, Duduja. Yes. Very polite, very articulate, very respectful. He sits down and talks about policies and what he believes in. He was in all the congresses that he was invited in. I met him at the Congress. Yes. I was invited to. But I saw him as a very polite person, very mature. This is the kind of politics we should be having, but not little children, young boys, young women abusing somebody that could be your father, somebody that could be your grandfather. I would condemn anybody on a political platform abusing Adama Barrow, because it's not the kind of politics that I believe in.
But now, I think that is tradition now. The issue of people using platforms, assuming platforms, really, and then attacking one another. That has become the fashion these days. You could see even the president's platform, people standing there and disparaging really others in a very nasty way. Really, do you feel worried at all in terms of this
I feel worried.
New fashion?
I feel worried. I abhor what is going on, and I would still send a message to His Excellency the President not to allow people to stand on his political platform. Look, I'll give you an example. The Republicans and the Democrats in America during the time of Obama's campaign with John McCain. I was watching the campaign one day, and then this black guy took the mic and was trying to condemn Barack Obama as an African. Before he could even finish his sentence, John McCain stopped him. He said, this is not the kind of politics we want in America. America is far bigger than Gambia. We are all related. I have relatives all over. People tell me you are this, you are that. I was born in Janjanbureh. I am proud of being born in Janjanbureh and of being of Mandinka stock. But I am not a tribalist. I should be proud of where I come from. My father is a Lebanese-born Gambian. And, but that does not make me a tribalist. My mother is a Serer, the father is Serer, the mother is Mandinka.
Of course.
My sister is, my husband is half Jola. So who am I to sit here? My whole family, we have Fullers in my family. You know, so who am I to sit here and talk about? But it's so sad to see what is happening now in our country. And I have seen, I'm glad that the party leader of UDP constantly keeps telling his party supporters, do not abuse anybody. Do not use abusive language on people, on your opponents. That is what I want to see in this country. I have seen rallies going on. I have seen these people get up. The president is sitting there and they are raining abuses on a particular party leader. And everybody is mute. I saw an instant where Hamad Bah had to walk and stop. And the person is just pushing Hamad Bah's hand. Because I think Hamad Bah saw that this was getting too much. Let me get up and tell them, no matter what, you are all fighting for a position. Everybody wants to be president. Whoever wins, we would accept. If Barrow wins tomorrow, of course I will accept that Barrow is the president. But that does not mean I would not constructively criticize Adama Barrow where he is wrong. That is politics of hypocrisy if I don't do that. And I don't practice politics of hypocrisy.
If you go to the other side, you are a strong supporter of UDP. But if you go to this other side, what they also accuse UDP adherents of is being very belligerent, very bellicose, very, in terms of their politics, very aggressive, that they are the ones who go about insulting people, they disparage people, they attack people. You know, that's all they do.
You know, when there's propaganda, a lot of things are there. I don't dispute that. Yes. Because wherever you go, you have militants that go out of hand. You have seen the Green Boys and Girls, what they used to do with Yaya Jammeh. But at least I have seen the party leader of the United Democratic Party. I've seen Ajiyam Seka, the deputy party leader. I've seen the spokesperson urging all the time that when you abuse, you are not doing it in the name of UDP. I'm yet to see, this is what I want the president to do. To tell his people, do not abuse. You had sat here to say, this is your father. If your house is broken, you have parted ways with your father. Please still give that same respect to your father. And tell your people, no matter what, he's still my father. Don't sit here when I am here and be abusing him. In fact, if Barrow does that, he will get more supporters than he has today. Because then he will gain more respect. They will say, yes, this president wants us to come together. Because at the end of the day, only one person will win. Only one party will win. God has already written who will win. It's just that everybody goes where you want to go. But God has already written who is going to be next president. If it's Adama Barrow, fine, alhamdulillah. If it's Ousainou Darboe, fine, alhamdulillah. But that will not stop us from urging, no matter how perfect somebody is, you always have to take a little whip to tell them, do more. We have a healthcare system that is broken.
Who do you think will win?
I have no idea.
Do you think Darboe will win?
The political field,
just at the weekend
the political field is open.
President-elect by December 5th. He is confident, and he said this is the first time that he is foretelling his own victory.
Oh, I haven't heard that yet.
That is what he said.
I'm just hearing.
For the very first time, all the past elections, he would just ask his people to campaign and then ask them to vote and all of that. But for the very first time, he is foretelling his victory, saying.
Well, maybe Darboe is foretelling it because he could see his support base and how strong he is. Barrow also feels that way. I pray for my party to win.
And that's UDP.
And during the elections, everybody prays for your party to win. If Darboe says that, well, thank God, maybe he sees what I have not seen. But my prayer is that the party I belong to should win the elections.
Now, what is your opinion in President Adama Barrow forming his own political party? And we've seen just at the weekend, he launched it. There was a lot of fanfare around that.
He launched it. There was a lot of fanfare, and I congratulate him. You know, even if we are in different political camps, if campaign starts, if I see him, I will shake his hand. He's not an enemy. He belonged to the UDP before. If he feels that he wants to form his party, he doesn't belong to this party anymore, well and good. You know, there was a fanfare, and I wish him all the best. But my opinion, well, at least they have not had a Congress. So I would have been able to talk. If there is a Congress and Adama Barrow is declared the leader of the party, then I will be able to make a comment. Because as far as I am concerned, Adama Barrow is still the head of the coalition. Well, of course, it said that the coalition is broken. The coalition has split, which is a fact. But I wait for the Congress and see.
And now, the fallout between father and son, Darboe and Barrow, what much it did was it led to supporters of UDP, at least a handful of supporters of UDP going with President Adama Barrow. The president was able to pull those people to his side.
To his side, yeah.
What do you make of that? The fact that this was the case. You have some UDP people who, these are strong, staunch supporters of the party, yet they had to leave UDP for President Barrow.
Well, I mean, that is politics. In politics, you go wherever you want to go. It goes, like I said, everybody has a right to go where you want to go. My problem is constantly sitting there on a political platform, people who did not even know how the UDP was formed and where they're just, Johnny just comes and they are on Facebook Live raining abuses all the time. That is not politics at all. The way I see the politics going now is very worrisome. But we have a handful of people that had gone to Barrow. Of course, Barrow had a clout in UDP when he was there. He was the deputy treasurer, and then later he became the treasurer. I was not even in UDP at the time, so he was there before me. Although when I left APRC, I was with UDP, but of course I couldn't come out because I was afraid to be taken away at that time.
Picked up
so,
again.
Yeah, picked up again. But they have a right to support wherever they want to support. I'm not worried about that. That is politics at its best. And I'm glad we have this democracy to exercise our rights and be where we want to be. My problem is being oppressed. That is a no for me.
Now, as an apparatchik of the coalition 2016, the initial plan was for this man to do 3 years and then step aside, and then the country moves on. Now what we have seen, that is far apart. Really, if a lot of people find it curious. Myself, I've still not been able to come to terms with that. That was the plan.
Yes.
But what we have seen now, we have seen a man who, who said 3 years, no. That was a whole campaign, and the campaign failed. 3 years jotna.
Yeah.
The president said he must serve for 5 years. And all of a sudden, the president has his own party. And all of a sudden, that party is soaring with confidence. A lot of confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, as somebody who was there at the outset, did you see this coming?
I saw it coming a long time ago. As a politician, I saw this crack from the beginning. You know, I had made a few comments here and there. I had tried to gather a few people, but they were so confident that this coalition will not be cracked. But of course, I was with APRC. And I was not only, APRC did not teach me politics. I've been in politics a long time ago. Since I was young, my father was a friend of Sir Dawda Jawara. And I used to follow him everywhere, campaigns. He used to sponsor a lot during the political parties. And I could see this crack coming, which was worrisome at the beginning. But then I saw it. I knew this was going to happen eventually, and then it happened. Because the people that you talk to probably had their agenda also, and it just goes on deaf ear. So nobody wants to listen until the deed is done. But you could see, for me, my opinion, again, is that everybody now follows your interest. And it's self-interest politics that I see happening today. Even worse than those who were saying, yeah, Jammeh should stay for 999 years. I see the same trend going. We create our leaders. Yahya Jammeh was not like that in the beginning. We created Yahya Jammeh. And up till now, you could see he still has die-hard supporters that would see nothing wrong. Even if I sit here today and talk about how much I've been tortured, there will be some who will say she deserved it because she betrayed Yahya Jammeh.
Or they would even say that she's not telling the truth.
Yes, she's not telling the truth, she's lying. So this is part of life.
And you mentioned 15 years. The president now wanting to do 15
now,
years.
And if he wins, it's two
terms.
terms.
What that has also done, it ensured that a new constitution for this country runs into trouble. This was one of the promises, really, the programs that was going to be put across, that was going to be implemented, a new constitution. And massive amount of resources was spent on it. It got to the National Assembly, it collapsed. And since then, no one really know what is going on. As I mean, a Gambian, what is your take on how that process went and where it is now?
It is very sad indeed that we set up a commission, a CRC, of very prominent people in different walks of life. In order to go around the country, we spent all those millions for them to bring us a constitution. There is no constitution that is perfect, 100%. They've gone outside. They've had a feel of what the people want, the kind of constitution we want. Everybody knows that the former constitution had been tampered with. It's been passed. I'm not even apportioning, removing myself from it. We were all to blame. I was also in Parliament, you know. And we managed to pass. It was like a yes Parliament. And that is why at that time I was blaming, why did UDP withdraw from the parliamentary elections? Because then there would have been a balanced parliament. They would have won a lot of seats. Right. But then it happened that way. We have now this Constitutional Review Commission. They've written a constitution. Why lobby? You are the person who set up this commission. You are the ones who chose the people that you believed in, that are highly educated, that are qualified in different fields in order to get this constitution passed. Now, only for it to come and you kick the same constitution that you wanted them to bring. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Because the one argument they were doing is about this term limit. That could have been dealt with after you have passed the constitution that will gear us into a third republic. But no. Now what is happening?
Well, wouldn't that amount to buying a rat from a hole? A rat that is in a hole and you spend money on that. Don't you think that that is a risky one for the MPs that said no to the draft? You said they should have allowed it to pass and then later...
But that's what happens all the time in any constitution. You look at the best parts of it, and I believe in 90% of what is in this new constitution. You know, because that constitution is the mandate of the people. We wanted what is there today. I'm not a lawyer, but I was a lawmaker, and I think I have that brain to be able to understand most of the clauses and what is written in the new constitution. And I believe in 90% of what is there. Now, the things that were not, look at what happened to the last one. And this is what we were avoiding. Now this one has come. Now what is happening? I now sit down and hear Goodluck Jonathan from Nigeria coming here in order to negotiate for this constitution to be. Does that make any... For me, I see qualified Gambians here who could deal with that situation, but not people coming from outside. Of course, I respect Goodluck Jonathan. He was a president of Nigeria. But I don't see Nigeria calling any Gambian president or former president to go and deal with their constitution. Nigerians would scream. That's a country that I have lived in for so many, many years, you know, so, and I know them very well. They wouldn't allow that.
Don't you think it is the issue of impartiality that led them to choose an outsider? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you choose whatever Gambian that you choose in this country, there would still be people who would have their reservations.
I wouldn't say that, but then that does not, are you trying to tell me now that Gambians don't have their own mind? If we have to all the time depend on outsiders to come and tell us what to do, we still have a long way to go. Then it's very sad as a country for this kind of thing to happen here.
And when it comes to the draft constitution, we have seen what happened, the last minute scramble from almost every corner or almost every quarter. We've seen even the diplomatic community, foreign diplomatic community, trying to speak to the president, trying to prevail on the MPs to please allow the document
even
to pass.
I made calls.
You made calls. Yes. But what happened is the president, at least what was known is that the president refused to meet with the diplomats, the foreign diplomats. Yeah. As a former ambassador, do you think that was wise at all?
No, it was not wise at all. Look, we are a poor country. We have development partners. We have these donor countries that have been, some people where I saw some comments, people saying the European Union should get themselves out of. Why are we begging the European Union them? Why are we a beggar nation? Why are we, they have been giving us a lot of grants and loans. So if we don't want them to double in our politics, we shouldn't ask them for anything. But their funds are there too. They helped in every way they could. This coalition, when we came into power, they did everything they could to make sure that we move on as a country. So I don't see anything wrong with what I'm saying about the issue of Goodluck Jonathan coming is that we've already had this Constitutional Review Commission, draft constitution passed by prominent people. And then, only now, after, is it like, because after all the hue and cry, after you've now established that, yes, I won, and they refuse to pass the draft constitution by a margin. So now that I've won that, okay, I'm now rethinking. Let somebody come and try to negotiate for us. It drags us back. We are still here. We are not yet in the Third Republic. Barrow is the third president of the Second Republic still, because the constitution has not been changed.
It has not been changed, yeah. And where that has left us is
in limbo.
Well, at least we have what we have is the 1997 Constitution, yeah. And election is coming pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have a new constitution in place, we will most definitely have to go by the 1997 yeah. Constitution.
Mm-hmm. We will have no choice.
We will have no choice. And if you look at the election laws that we have, it's talking about first past the post. Your party, UDP, sees itself as the biggest political party. Do you want are you comfortable with the 1997 Constitution?
I'm comfortable with any one of them as far as the elections is concerned. If the 1997 Constitution says winner takes it all, fine. I'm still confident. If it's second round 50+1, it's fine. The mandate belongs to Gambians. I have only one vote. I would know the party I'm voting for. Somebody else would know the party they are voting for. And the mistake we made is, Jammeh, he said it. He said some people turned yellow within 24 hours, from green to yellow. So I'm just saying, be very careful the way you think everybody supports you. And that applies to all the politicians. Everybody have to tighten their belt. If you want your party's policies to pass, you do everything you can. You don't have to hide behind any cloak. I'm not hiding behind any cloak. I will vote for the party that I believe in. I believe in their policies. I believe in the manifesto. And I believe that they are going through the right direction. That's my belief. If somebody else believes that, does not mean when I see him on the street. I have family members that are on the other side. We tease each other every day. During Jammeh's time, APRC, UDP, families broke and split to two. That does not happen today, And I would say thanks to us Gambians that have done it. Of course, the government is a part of it that makes sure that it is in place. This thing is happening. You see, so.
And also, what we have seen in the past few days is the issue of the longevity of ECOMIG in Gambia. What do you say to the fresh decision there by ECOWAS?
I have my reservations to that. There are pros and cons, because I was talking to a very close friend of mine. Sometimes it's good to feel another opinion. And I said to the person, I don't think ECOMIG should come here, because then there is, for me, then what do we need a Minister of Defense for? What do we need an army for? If we have to get an army to come here and be a police, we are not a nation at war. But when the person also gave me his opinion that, look, we have, for me, I see it as something positive. And he gave me a few feelers that which made sense actually, that we need these people here in case there is any problem as well that would occur, which of course we are not foreseeing.
Are you not worried about the long-term?
I am worried about the long-term consequences because I see the Jawara government, for example, after the 1981 coup d'etat. I used to live in Nigeria then, but was coming up and down, and I could see the disgruntledness of the army at the time about the Jawara surrounding himself with the Senegalese forces, and the consequences of that is not good. So, excuse me, this is the way I see happening, because it's like, why do we have this large army? Because there have not been, for me, there has not been any civil service reforms. I mean, any security reforms. They are still there, as large as ever. We have a very large army. Yeah, Jammeh was promoting, was bringing people, recruiting every day. I don't see those people doing other. They are still there. So why do we need? It has its advantages and its disadvantages for sure. And I think the disadvantages are higher than the advantages.
And Madam Ambassador, I mean, you are many things. You are a parliamentarian. You are not just a politician. You are also into on various. Let's talk about. You even were in the airline industry. We'll leave that to later. But let's first talk about your time as a parliamentarian. I mean, you did that, and you did it in the Jammeh regime. Yes. You were an APRC parliamentarian. How is life like as an APRC parliamentarian, as a yes parliamentarian?
No, that word yes should be scrapped out, because you know, a lot of people there are some people of this younger generation who don't know my relationship with Yaya Jammeh.
Exactly.
Yaya Jammeh,
I heard he used to eat in your house.
Well, he was like a brother to me. Yaya Jammeh, when I came back from Nigeria, I think I was 27 years old. I came back, and they lived opposite my family house. So he was in the gendarmerie then. And we lived like, you know, neighbors, when you live for a long time, become family. So we were family. He goes to my house, I go to their house. We drink attaya together. He spends a long time in my house, and we were like brother and sister. So when he took over power, I was one of the first people that he called on, and I fully supported. At that time, we were all young. We wanted change, you know, because we felt it's now time for change. But then I did not become a parliamentarian from '94 until after '96 elections. I was just like a family friend. I do go there. I sit with him. We eat. We talk. But I was not part of the political dispensation at the time. I wasn't holding any, because I was an air hostess then. That was my field. I was in the airline industry for so many years. And then I was also the head of the Gambian New Millennium aircraft. I was also an instructor training air hostesses. So I did not see the need for me, although I was very political, but I didn't see the need of holding any political position in the Jammeh government until he finally convinced me to become a parliamentarian. Actually, I didn't even know. He appointed me without telling me. The letter got to me at my office at Gambia Airways. And so he said, well, I want you there. But one thing I made clear was that I'm not going to be a yes person. Of course, there are bills that we all said yes at the time, because whether you say yes or no, somebody was blaming me the other day saying, but don't exempt yourself. And I'm not going to exempt myself that time.
Exactly.
Yes, and sometimes, like we said, what is happening today, when you are inside, there are lots of things you wouldn't see. It's like what is happening now in the camp, in Barrow camp. He wouldn't see a lot of things except what they are telling him. Those who are outside watching in, you are the ones who see the fault of another person. The same thing would apply if a UDP government is sitting. They might not see, we might not see the fault, but outsiders would see. And I can see. at that time, if you tell me anything about Yahya Jammeh in 2002, I will tell you it's a lie. If you tell me Yahya Jammeh arrest and they torture people, I will tell you it's a lie. If you tell me they beat women, I will tell you it's a lie. Because I did not see it. I was with Jammeh all the time. I go there as I like. I sit with him.
But you were hearing these things.
Then I was hearing these things very vaguely at the time in 2001. I did not believe it, you know. And it was not until when I think the independent newspaper was burnt down, and I keep hearing rumors, and of course, as a curious person, I started finding out, asking questions, and I really started getting scared. That is this the person I know? Because at the time also, I started seeing people surrounding him in a very dangerous way. Talking about, you know, trying to spoil other people, the backstabbing. Ablai Kujabi said it in his testimony yesterday, and everything he said was true. Because it was a dangerous path that we were heading to. And I started getting scared, and that was the time I started withdrawing bit by bit away from him.
But you got sacked.
I got sacked because, of course, it's not a secret. What happened was during the time of Baba Job. At that time, it was actually not the Baba Job case that made me. It had its sequence of events happening all the time. I was already out of the Gambian New Millennium Airline, which nobody knew. I was already out of there, and I remained just as a parliamentarian. And I was not on very good terms with Jammeh at that time. And I know these two people, and I'm happy that, you know, I keep repeating, Baba Job also was not a saint. You know, no human being is a saint. But I knew the two of them. I knew how loyal he was to Jammeh. And looking at this commission, I have only heard of Baba Job as a victim. I've not heard anybody who had been talking about the assassinations, but nobody has said so far that it was Baba Job who gave the instructions for this person to be killed. It was Baba Job, yes, the July 22nd movement at the time, but you heard what Ablai said, it was dismantled. And he obeyed what he was told, and they dismantled the July 22nd movement that none of us supported, actually, because of the militancy that was going on and the harassment of other people because of their support for one person.
But what, I mean, this is somebody that was like brother to you. At some point during his regime, the table turned. The brother-sister relationship broke down irreparably. Irreparably, to the extent you were arrested, you were tortured, you were treated pretty badly.
Yes. When Baba Job was arrested, that was the last straw for me. Because I was one of those who knew how loyal Baba was to Jammeh. And they played all these cards. They played the tribal cards. They played the disloyalty card. They did everything for these two people to separate. And I could see, as human beings and people wanting their position, I could see everybody drifting away and running away from Baba Job, which was very sad. And me, I'm somebody who I'm a very consistent person. I wouldn't say stubborn, but once I believe in something, I don't just go blindly into anything, but I sit down and analyze and think about things before doing it. And I felt, no, why should I? So I was sympathizing with Baba Job. I was going to the court every time that there's a court case. I used to visit him at the camp. But I see most of the members of parliament that Baba did nothing for me, either financially or anything, but because he was a colleague. And
but
I
this
could
was
see,
the feeling at the time.
Yeah, this was the feeling, a lot of, so and everybody just kept away. So I continued going there. And also, even throughout that time, I could now see the tricks that was being played. When Yahya Jammeh is not satisfied with you, he pushes you to do things or he tries to give you so much power until people start hating you. You know, so that the moment he pounces on you, people will say, I knew it. This person is like that. And I saw that scenario going on again. And I was there at the courthouse. The day he was locked up, I cried. I bitterly cried because I felt it was unfair. Because I could see those mercenary judges passing out a sentence that was all bogus as far as I am concerned. And he was there. And see how it ended up. And whilst he was there, I still used to go every Friday to Mile 2 to go and visit Baba Job. And I visit his family. I'm like family to them.
And you were arrested?
I was arrested in 2006.
Yes.
And taken to Mile 2 for accused of being part of a coup d'etat that I knew nothing of. Of course, Jammeh himself knew that, or the whole country knew I was not part of that, because at that time we were on the verge of forming our own political party. And ironically, most of my interrogation was geared towards that political party, because Jammeh knew that I don't believe in a coup d'etat, in order when we already have a civilian government. But I felt it was also because there were comments made that let me see if Baba Job will get her out of prison now that she was supported. Because Jammeh is a very vengeful person. Once he sets his mind on doing something, he goes all out and he will do it. And you heard of all the VIP treatments. I was given the best VIP treatment, which was one of the worst beatings you can ever find.
That was, and also, but prior to all of this, really, you started out in your career as an air hostess in the airline industry. Not many Gambians you would find venture into that. Yet you are one of those people who was right up there. Briefly, how was life like as an air hostess?
Very interesting. It's the best job that I've enjoyed in my life.
You get to meeting a lot of people, huh?
Oh yes, it's like a diplomacy in another form, because you meet people from all walks of life. You know, I've flown presidents in Nigeria. I have flown presidents from here, Bissau, all these people, and it was quite an interesting job. Since I was young, I've always been saying I wanted to work in an aeroplane. And actually, when I finished school, after my O-levels, I was working as an unqualified teacher in a secondary technical school, St. Augustine Secondary Technical. I was teaching civics, English language, and history. And I got a scholarship, actually, to go to Milton Magai in Sierra Leone. And then this air hostess thing came up. I dropped all that in order to go to Nigeria. I guess that's where my destiny was. And I enjoyed every bit of it. Flying is a very, very interesting job.
Yet, you were involved in a plane crash, and you survived. That's pretty serious. I don't know how that looks like, a plane crash, when you are involved.
Yes.
What exactly happened?
I was involved in a plane crash. After Gambia Air Shuttle shut down, I was working for a private company called Gamcrest. And we used to operate chartered flights. And we were chartered by Club Mediterranean from France to take their passengers from Dakar to Cap Skirring, the island of Cap Skirring, because the Air France aeroplane was too big to land on that tarmac. So we went there, and the flight comes late, and we normally arrive Cap Skirring early hours of Sunday morning. We flew, and during our descent, I got up to make an announcement that we are now on our descent. The aircraft has started going. And whilst I was in that process, I just had a loud bang. And that's when I passed out. And then when I woke up, I found myself on the ground. And the aircraft was cut into pieces.
Was split into pieces.
Split into pieces entirely. And I woke up, I just found myself on the ground. And I was running around trying to see who was alive. And psychologically, it was like, I'm not going to be the only person in this bush. Yes, yes. I must see somebody that I should talk to. Yeah. And then I started looking, and then I discovered, that all the crew members, my colleagues, had all died. And I was the only surviving crew member, and a few passengers, of course, that survived. So we were there till early hours of till morning, when I think there are some fishermen who were, because we are in between the sea and I could hear
the bush.
Yeah. So they came looking for what was happening, because they thought the rebels were fighting with the Senegalese forces, and they said we had this big bang. So they came to that area, and when I heard them speaking Wolof, I shouted in Wolof, you know, that I'm here. And they said, there's somebody speaking Wolof. So they came to start the rescue. And that's when they told us there was a hotel not far from there, until one of them looked at me that, did you see yourself? You know, that was when I got tired, actually. I couldn't walk anymore. So he carried me on his back to take me to the, I would say I was lucky to survive.
What luck?
I was taken to Senegal.
What year was this again?
This was 1992 in February. I was in hospital February, March, April until May. June, July, August, September, October, I started flying again. Professionally.
You wouldn't be deterred. No. You wouldn't be deterred, or you wouldn't be scared. By that.
No.
But well, I mean, we've run out of time. I mean, really, I kept you here for a very long time. I'll just allow you to, if you have a final comment.
I would say thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here at Fatu Network. And the only comment I would make is a political one. Exactly. I just want to appeal to all of us Gambians to do our politics in a very civilized manner, because tomorrow only one person wins. And it will be very sad to see the country split into two. So I'm also appealing to all the political leaders, mine included, to make sure that there is peace in this country. Gambia is so small. You touch one person, you touch us all, because we are all related somehow, you know. We should also, I would urge also the president to open his ears and listen more to us citizens and what people are saying. It's not everybody who criticizes you that hates you. You know, if you are a leader, you sit down and watch. This person raining praises on me all the time. Is this person for real? Because if I go to Barrow today and keep praising him, that this that you did is correct, this thing you did, I think he should sit down and say there is something wrong with this woman.
With that.
Yeah. So I would urge him to open his ears more and realize that he's president for all Gambians, and try to choose the people that he feels can deliver and offer and give them the positions, instead of putting it on a partisan basis, because we are all part of this country. We all fought for this change. And if we see this thing going on still, it's very sad. I would urge the youths also. Tomorrow is their turn. They are going to take over. We need young people in our politics. Let them, if I see a youth raining abuses, I would feel, what kind of child is this? Are these the people that we are going to hand over the reins of power? If you tell me that I'm old, I shouldn't be in politics, and I see you as the young one doing nothing but raining abuses, what do you do? So I would urge us to live in peace and harmony, and let the best man win.
Let the best man win.
Let the best man win.
Come 2021,
come 2021, in December, let the best man win. And I'm hoping that mine does.
I know. I'm sure he'll be happy when he sees this. Lawyer Hussein Udabo.
My uncle.
Your uncle. Madam Ramzia Diab, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. I hope we will do an interview some other time.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. So that's it for the show today. Thank you for being there.
Thank you.